In this video, we'll extend the concept of ratio to include unit rate. A ratio is just a fraction that compares numbers. A unit rate is a ratio where the bottom of the fraction is 1. Creating unit rates makes comparisons even easier. Here's a nice example. Dale earns $189 in 14 hours. Sally earns $295 in 20 hours. Who's being paid better per hour? Well, let's check. We have Dale, who earns $189 in 14 hours. That's a comparison of 189 to 14. To change this into a unit rate, the denominator must be 1. In order to make the denominator 1, I should divide it by itself. Now, if I divide the bottom by 14, I must also divide the top by 14. Normally, when we reduce fractions, we don't want decimals in our answers. But when we create unit rates, it's okay to have a decimal in your answer. The goal is to have the denominator be 1. 14 divided by 14, that's 1. Now let's also divide 189 by 14. That's 13.5. Now I know when my denominator is 1, I don't have to write it. So it's 13.5. Let's think of this as money. So it's $13.50 per hour. There's the proper way to write the answer for the unit rate. Now, is Dale being paid better or worse than Sally? Sally makes $295 by working 20 hours. I can turn this into a unit rate by making the denominator 1. I'll make the denominator 1 by dividing it by itself. But if I divide the bottom by 20, I must also divide the top by 20. 20 divided by 20 is 1. That's what I wanted. In the top, 295 divided by 20 is 14.75. Let's rewrite that as $14.75 per hour. Difficult to compare their wages from the original problem, but when we turn them into unit rates, very easy to compare who's making the better wage per hour. When you work these as homework problems, you write down the ratio, turn it into a unit rate, then rewrite it, explaining the units here at the end. Here's a couple of nice examples that look very much like your homework problems. Write each as a unit rate. 510 miles in 12 hours. Let's write that as a ratio, 510 compared to 12. Turn it into a unit rate by dividing by the denominator. That way the denominator is 1. In the numerator, 510 divided by 12 is 42.5. Now finally, let's label that answer as 42.5. That's miles per hour. If you travel 510 miles in 12 hours, you're averaging 42.5 miles per hour. Number 2, $30 million in 40 years. Let's write that as a ratio, 30 million compared to 40 years. Now change that into a unit rate. 40 divided by 40 is 1. And 30 million divided by 40 is 750,000. Let's label that answer. That's $750,000 per year. There's the way to show your homework. Rewrite the problem as a ratio, turn it into a unit rate, then label your answer. Last problem, 200 students on 8 buses. We'll turn that into a unit rate. $200 divided by 8 is 25. Label your answer. That's 25 students per bus. All right, your turn to do some homework. Work hard. I'll see you later on today.